In February 1991, after the failed invasion of Kuwait, retreating Iraqi troops sabotaged more than 700 oil wells. Fires from these oil wells have dyed the blue desert sky black, turning day into night with smoke as thick as ink streaks on the planet when viewed from space. This is a serious economic and ecological disaster. With a nearly endless supply of fuel, these fires could have raged for 4 to 5 years without intervention. Every day, about 5 to 6 million barrels of oil are burned, at a cost of about $18 per barrel, costing the Kuwaiti government $1 million every 13 to 16 minutes. Extinguishing an oil well fire is already a major challenge, but the situation in Kuwait has pushed firefighting experts to their limits. Firefighting teams had to navigate through unexploded ordnance scattered across the war-torn desert. All the oil spewing from the ground was burned by huge flames, reaching up to 90 meters high. Lakes of toxic oil quickly form around fires and can ignite at any time, making firefighting operations even more dangerous. This was one of the most complex firefighting operations ever undertaken. Extinguishing an oil well fire is already a major challenge, but the situation in Kuwait has pushed firefighting experts to their limits. Firefighting teams had to navigate through unexploded ordnance scattered across the war-torn desert. All the oil spewing from the ground was burned by huge flames, reaching up to 90 meters high. Lakes of toxic oil quickly form around fires and can ignite at any time, making firefighting operations even more dangerous. This was one of the most complex firefighting operations ever undertaken. However, a group of 23 Hungarians arrived with a unique machine, a firefighting vehicle custom-made from a tank, equipped with 2 additional giant jet engines. This is an incredible machine that plays an important role in large-scale firefighting campaigns. In 1988, Iraq emerged from an 8-year war with Iran, devastated and economically paralyzed, unable to repay its debt. They lobbied OPEC to increase oil prices to help Iraq pay off war debt. However, Iraq claimed Kuwait did the opposite, exceeding its production quota, causing oil prices to fall. In August 1990, Iraq began its invasion of Kuwait. After 6 months of counterattacks by the United States and its allies, Iraq's quest for Kuwait's oil was over. But in their retreat, they sabotaged Kuwait's oil production, destroying 85% of the wells in a few short days. Initial damage control efforts were not focused on extinguishing the fires, but rather, unexploded bombs were half buried in the sand surrounding each oil well, along with mines and booby traps. All must be cleared before work to extinguish the fire can begin. For nearly a month, 700 fires broke out without control. The army began clearing the way with laden explosives, but if there was oil on the ground, the explosives could not be used. Instead, the mines were buried in sand to create safe passage. After much effort, by the end of the first year, more than 1 million mines and 600 tons of unexploded bombs had been cleared. Fighting fires in the desert is a big logistical challenge, especially lack of water. First, we need a large amount of water. Once we have brought in water to cool the area and gotten close to the fire, we can begin trying to remove the damaged wellhead or even extinguish the fire. To fight fires, teams need to pump millions of tons of water from the sea. Using existing pipes, firefighters can access 25 million gallons of seawater per day, pumping water into hundreds of man-made lagoons. However, getting close enough to the fire to spray water accurately and repair damaged oil infrastructure is a major challenge. Carbon-rich mounds formed from cooked oil form mini volcanoes around wellheads, blocking access to infrastructure that needs repair or sealing to stop the flow of oil. With the fire so close, clearing this mound could not be done safely. Engineers and firefighters need to find solutions. One solution was to lower long steel pipes with a crane into the wellhead so the fire rose above ground, allowing crews to get closer to remove the support and begin cooling the fire. Another method is to extinguish the fire using explosives. Teams were stuffing plastic explosives into empty oil barrels and slowly moving them through the fire. When detonated, the explosive will consume a large amount of oxygen in the surrounding air, causing the fire to go out. But what will you choose to do? Slowly inching closer to the blazing fire, surrounded by lakes of toxic oil, with oil falling from above and carrying kilos of explosives? Or control an armored tank equipped with two of the world's most powerful jet engines, adapted to become extremely powerful water cannons? A team of 23 Hungarian firefighters showed up with a special machine dubbed the Big Wind. They removed the turret from an old Soviet T-62 tank and replaced it with two jet engines from a MiG-21 aircraft. To prevent desert sand, debris, and even firefighters from being sucked into the air intakes, large barrier boxes are placed in front of the engines. The driver enters the tank from a small hatch located between two giant jet engines. The already cramped space had to be adapted to accommodate two fuel tanks and an air compressor, helping the driver survive the toxic smoke surrounding the fire. Visibility inside the tank was almost non-existent, and with two jet engines less than a meter from each ear, communication with the driver became extremely limited. The driver is directed by the commander's joystick, with two simple green and red lights for guidance. The engine operator sits on the platform controlling the thrust of the tank's external engine. Once everything is ready, the crew will place the tank just 8 meters away from the fire, protected by a transparent heat shield. The operator starts the engine, consuming half a gallon of fuel per second and generating 120 kilonewtons of thrust. From this position, the operator can see 3 water nozzles, each spraying 3,780 liters of water per minute, directly into the engine's exhaust pipe. This machine is designed to extinguish oil fires with an endless supply of fuel spewing from the ground. And the ground is so hot that it can burn any fuel that touches it. Simply extinguishing the fire is not enough. Firefighters need a way to cut off the fire's fuel source and quickly cool the surrounding area. The powerful stream of air and water from the engine will hit the sprayed oil column with such force that it will cut off the fuel source, robbing the fire. The huge amount of water will remove enough heat to ensure the fire cannot be restarted. The engine's thrust also has enough power to dislodge hard carbon buildup around the wellhead. However, these jet engines are designed to suck in cold air from the upper atmosphere, not dense hot desert air. This limited the machine to a burst duration of 20 minutes, but the Hungarian fire brigade far exceeded expectations in extinguishing oil fires, requiring just 12 minutes and 40 seconds compared to many hours using traditional methods. Putting out the fire is just the first step. Oil flow still needs to be prevented. In Kuwait, most oil wells come from reservoirs located between 120 and 2,100 meters underground. These reservoirs contain not only oil, but also seawater and natural gas, compressed up to 7,000 psi. Oil wells are designed to safely transport these precious resources to the surface. The borehole is lined with steel and concrete casing to resist pressure and prevent oil from seeping into the ground. On top of these steel pipes is a structure called a Christmas tree, with pressure gauges and control valves. This is the target that the Iraqi army aimed to destroy. Although most of the wells were successfully destroyed, some remained intact, showing how they were damaged. An oil well that did not explode as planned was found. It was stuffed with plastic explosives and sandbags by Saddam Hussein's army, but for some reason it did not explode, creating another danger for firefighters. In some lucky cases, the top of the well breaks cleanly, pushing the oil straight up and creating a steady fire that is easier to extinguish. The wellhead is more visible and sealed, helping to stabilize the flow of burning oil. However, the majority of oil wells are not cleanly cut. Partially destroyed Christmas trees caused oil to spurt in random directions, and cracks in oil pipes leaked and collected around the well. Once the fire is extinguished, controlling the oil remains a major challenge to avoid overheating. In response to oil well destruction incidents, rescue teams can access and cap the well if the pipes maintain their overall shape. They proceed using a device called a burner. This is a tapered fitting that is inserted into the wellhead, even while the oil is still flowing or even while it is burning. The burner is attached to the top of the crane, and the kill slurry is pumped through to control the flow. Killing mud can be made from conventional drilling mud or weighted killing mud, made from concentrates such as barite and hematite. The required amount of mud is calculated on-site based on the flow rate and pressure of the well, in order to overcome the hydrostatic pressure of the well to prevent further oil flow.